afternoon, I'm Jack with Esch Construction Supply. I'm here to give you some tips and pointers on Soff-Cut, how to break in a blade, how to check the blade block, and special tips at the end to help you make more productive with your Soff-Cut saw. We check the pistons. The piston should move freely, both front and back. The back moves fine. The front is holding up for us. So in the field, what we should do is there's two things we can do. We have to either clean up the blade block with all the dust that's in here to get this moving right, or we hit it with a graphite type lubricant. Never want to use WD-40 on anything like that, because what that's going to do is it's going to attract the dust. So graphite lubricant will help this move. If the shaft is bent, we need to replace that shaft. So that should be moving freely. The back, as you can see, moves freely right now. That's perfect. The blade is right in the middle of the skid plate, which is what you want to have. The problem we have is with this front plate locking up on us and not being smooth. So that's the first thing we do is we check to make sure these pistons move freely. Got it freed up. Next thing we're going to do is, at the end of the job, you always want to make sure you clean the blade block. Wipe it down, scrape it out, do whatever you can. Less dust in there, the better. And about every 5 or 6 jobs, just hit it with a graphite type material that's dry. It's a dry spray. But again, do not use WD-40. That will attract the dust and it'll create more problems. Once we're done with this, we'll remove the blade. Right now, what we do is we'll remove the blade, put a new blade on, and then we'll check alignment. See this pin I'm pushing with my thumb up here? This locks the blade shaft so you can take the blade on and off. Okay, we're going to mount the new blade. It's a new Esch blade, purple. These blades are one directional. They only go on one way. They will not go on the back way. Only one way. On our blade, it's with the label out. This is a brand new blade on the saw. What we're going to do is we're going to break that blade in. What we're going to do to break it in is we're going to run at half the motor RPMs, half throttle on the motor, and then at travel speed at 1/2 the travel speed. What this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to let the blade drop off all fracture diamond that occurred in manufacturing and expose new diamond. By doing this process up to about 25 to 40 feet, it's going to allow that blade to stay open throughout the whole life of the blade. Chances are, when you've had a blade that quit cutting, everybody complains and said the blade was bad. It is not the blade. The blade was probably not broken in at the very beginning. If you do this, what you're going to be able to do is get the whole life out of the blade that you would like to, that you should have. It takes about 15 minutes of time, but that 15 minutes is going to save you throughout the whole life of the blade. Extremely important. What we're doing is we're running this on an X2000. The X2000 is going to be a manual drop, but it is going to be an auto forward on it. The operator has been running the saw for a long time, so we're going to go through the blade breaking, and then what we're going to do is show you what we have for the cut after. This was poured here in Minnesota on a day where it was 75 degrees to 80 degrees right now in the sun. It's poured at 6 a.m. and right now it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And what we're doing is our test that shows that the concrete is ready. The concrete is going to tell you when it's time to cut and when it's not time to cut. If you start graveling or spalling when you're cutting, you're either on it too early and you need to wait. The concrete is going to tell you what the optimal time is. Nobody's going to tell you it's set in stone. So we're going to try it and see what we have. I do have a few other tips for you. One of the tips is, if you're going too fast with your travel speed, your saw is going to go to the right. If you're going too slow with your travel speed, the saw is going to go to the left. If you get that happy medium on where you should be speed-wise, that saw should be able to go straight ahead without doing any correction. Another tip that we have for you is we ask you, please do not walk on the joint when you're sawing. What that's going to do is it's going to cause the joints to break in areas. The other thing is we ask that you do not sweep the joints. What you're going to do is you can break those corners and make it look like the job was raveling. All joints should be vacuumed up if there's any dust left at the end of cutting.